sure a lot of people have told you, will you run for president in 2012? A lot of people asking you that. What's the decision right now? That's a long time away.
Well, that's the point. It's a long time away. So the decision is to not make one until long from now. Most likely after the 2010 midterm elections. I'll keep the options open, haven't closed the door, but not ready to jump into that pool when there's no water in it right now. Right now, I wouldn't say that there are any presidential aspirations until I kind of see what the field looks like. It was an incredible experience that I wouldn't trade for the world, but I would have to know that the support is strong and viable. But again, it's not something I'm focused on. I don't honestly have the time right now. I'm doing Fox News on the weekend, radio 5 days a week, 3 times a day. This book tour is about to kill me. 64 cities, 22 states, 3 weeks. So the thought of what I might do a year from now, I'll wait till then. I consider her a colleague, a friend, and somebody that shares views and values. I'm delighted that she's got a message out there. That's good news. Well, this Congress is intent on ignoring the main problem Americans have, and that's lack of jobs. And they want to do something in passing a health care bill that will cost us about 5 million jobs, trillions of dollars of debt, and upend what many people are satisfied with. It is the most absurd, unconstitutional approach to a government policy. To say that you have to buy a product in order to be a citizen is the equivalent of a poll tax. The Supreme Court years ago ruled that you cannot charge and force citizens to pay something in order to enjoy their constitutional rights, which are not for sale. So I think once this, if it ever gets passed under its current form, it will go to the Supreme Court, and how could they not but throw it out on its face? Okay. Well, people are very concerned about their country. They see their basic liberties and freedoms being eroded, the government encroaching ever so intently on their daily lives. Small business owners in particular are especially concerned that they won't be able to get credit to run their business. They're not going to be able to keep employees. They're going to be laying people off. If we do the current health care proposal plus cap and trade, you can just say goodbye to a lot of small businesses and a lot of the jobs that go with them.
Is that the most pressing political issue for you, health care reform at this point? Or?
The most pressing political issue? I think it's the overall economy, the fact that we have this amazing debt, that what we've done is borrow money against our children's future. Traditionally, parents would take pain from their children and put it upon themselves to spare their kids. This is the first political generation I've ever seen that has taken pain from themselves and put it double on their kids. What's happening in Congress is immoral and unconstitutional and unconscionable to put the pain of our own generation onto the next one. And it's unprecedented in American history.
Talk about the future of the Republican Party. New York 23 some people said a big proving ground for a conservative candidate. Talk to me about what you think the future of the Republican Party is and how you fit into that.
How I fit in, I'm not sure, but I do know that the future of the party, I think, is very bright, and I would expect there to be a significant turn next year in the midterm elections. What happened in Virginia and New Jersey was very significant, both by margin as well as by outcome. Sure. And it just showed that the Democrats won elections, but they were not given a mandate to redistribute everybody's personal wealth and property and jobs, and that's not what America voted for. And I think it's going to be a very important time for Americans to stand up and say that's not what we're about.
But no doubt there's a difference between Tea Party Republicans and other ones who aren't as conservative. I mean, would you say that's true?
Not necessarily. I think many people in the Tea Party movement, some are Republican, but many are just, they're independents, they're Democrats, they run all over the political spectrum. They're citizens more than anything. They're not ideological. They're rightfully angry at watching their government take every last dime they've earned and just redistribute it without any conscience about how that's affecting the long-term future for their children. I think the Tea Party movement has been an incredibly positive thing for the country. It's at least giving voice to a lot of folks who feel like that their congressmen are completely ignoring their views.
If you
We'd like this to be the last. I got to get this. Okay. Got some other folks lined up.
Sure. If you won the presidential election, what would you have done differently?
Well, first of all, we would have never had bailouts. We would have never spent a bunch of money we didn't have, borrowed money we couldn't pay back. If companies were recklessly run, they would have failed, because it's not the purpose of the government to play the game, but simply to referee to make sure that it's played fairly. And when government begins to get involved in picking the winners and losers in the marketplace, they're no longer serving in their capacity as a government. So we would have certainly seen a very significant difference.
Right.
I would have worked on the passage of the fair tax. I would have promoted the idea that we need to protect human life at all costs and respect the dignity and worth of every human being.
Great.
Thank you.